All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to fix the lighting in my location right now. And as always, the information provided on this live Q&A does not and is not intended to constitute any legal advice. Instead, all information, content, and materials available in this live Q&A are for general informational purposes only. Information on this live Q&A may not constitute the most up-to-date legal or other information. Viewers of this live Q&A should contact an attorney to obtain advice with respect to any particular legal issue. No listener, user, or browser of the site should act or refrain from acting on the basis of the information on this live Q&A without first seeking legal advice from counsel in the relevant jurisdiction. Only an individual attorney can provide assurances that the information contained herein and your interpretation of it is applicable or appropriate to your particular situation. Use of and access to this live Q&A or the links or resources contained within the site does not create an attorney-client relationship between the listener, user, or browser and website authors, contributors, contributing law firms, or community members and their respective employers. The views expressed at or through this live Q&A are those of the individual inquirer in their individual capacities only and the law office of Erin Morse. All liability with respect to actions taken or not taken based on the contents of this live Q&A are hereby expressly disclaimed. The content on this posting is provided as is. No representations are made that the content is error-free. And let me bring in our host, Attorney Morse. How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. I guess we're both having color issues on our side.
Yeah, lighting. Let me see if I can help that out.
I think that I don't look as dark as I normally do.
About none at all.
Okay.
Let me see if I can fix it with one other thing. I'm going to have to break the fourth wall and go somewhere.
Let's see if I can. Let me try this.
Maybe not.
That looks good.
The home.
I think our colors are coming in nice.
How's it going? We're doing this from home today. I had a hearing in an actual courtroom today for the first time in a couple months.
So how is social distancing being practiced in the courtroom?
It really isn't. It's easy to like social distance with the judge because the judge is, far enough away. They're typically on this heightened podium type area, and the the deputies never really aren't really in your space ever. Your client, you have really no other way but then to break social distance with your client, because how can you be confidential at 6 feet, right?
Exactly.
You really can't advise confidentially and privately at 6 feet away. So that's kind of one of the things. So it is what it is. It was an emergency and we really had to address it, and it worked out well.
So touching base on our previous conversations from previous live Q&As, how's homeschooling been going for you?
It's good. It's good. Today was an exception. I had to bring Connor to his grandmother's house so he could do his homework there. So, homeschooling is homeschooling. We figured out a new tactic that if he gets all of his, work done by a certain time, he can then have like more playtime. So we adjusted. He has a cell phone and he can't have his cell phone until he finishes all the work. So that really motivates him, and he seems to get all of his work done, within like 2 hours in the morning.
Oh, that's good. Wow.
Yeah,
getting everything done.
The tactic worked. And then I put a little bit of his extra practice on there. And I tell him that he can, have extra stay up late points.
Mm-hmm.
So I put on there that he can stay up late if he does these extra practices, and that seemed to work pretty well too.
So a little aggressive negotiation on your part.
Yeah.
To get the ball going.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Negotiation.
So I don't know if you've heard in the news that I think we're reopening next week. Is that what's going on? Hello?
You cut out there for a second. What was that?
I heard I really haven't had a chance to watch the news in the past 12 hours, but apparently we're reopening Florida next week.
That's what my understanding is, and I'm hearing that what we're going to be opened at is about 25% capacity and not everything. They're going to have to try to maintain this social distancing while being open.
Because
I
I
don't
saw I saw somewhere that they're opening restaurants, but up to only 25% capacity.
Yeah, yeah, that's the same information I have.
Yeah, so that's going to be a bit odd going back to my normal watering hole.
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's too early.
Yeah,
We still don't have enough information about COVID to allow this to happen. And I saw somewhere that Georgia's numbers since stayed open, their numbers have actually gone up dramatically.
yeah, yeah.
Nah,
What do you think? Have you heard anything at all about what the time frame is looking like for a vaccine?
everyone, all the numbers and all the speculations I keep hearing, there's nothing concrete. There's nothing
No.
stating that we should have something available in. Yeah, there's. I haven't heard a time frame to this extent.
Yeah. Do you think if they were to release it, say if we found out that there was a vaccine by November, do you think that would?
I would be honestly, I would be hesitant, and because I know for a vaccine to be available to the public, it has to go through certain trials, animal testing, human trials,
Mhm.
and enough controlled experiments and observation to see if the vaccine itself uh, is going to do what it's designed to do.
So how long do you think we could quarantine for?
In regards to like keeping this quarantine, I'm sure everyone's fed up with it. Everybody wants to go out and be
Yeah.
social once again, but being realistic, like I see this going towards end of the year, if not January 2021.
Wow. At least where they try to continue to like social distance with businesses open, or you think businesses just stay closed?
Businesses should open, but like to a limited capacity.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion, but
Yeah.
I'm not one of those leaders in Washington or a
I
medical expert.
Yep, I am also not a person with that understanding. I feel like it's worth, making sure that we identify and consider the fact that, for example, Florida, a lot of our money is tourism money, our tax
Mhm.
money. So our lack of tourism is going to impact how much money we have available for our police officers, firefighters, teachers, education, roads, our public services. Our public services are,
Yeah, I have not driven through International Drive since this thing started, so I'm afraid to see what it looks like now because usually you have tourists up and down those roads, and
Mhm.
those shops, those restaurants are packed to capacity. So I can't imagine someone taking a trip now down to Florida if there's nothing to do.
They're not, right? So we have
Yeah.
no tax money. Yeah, because we don't have our income tax.
Ah,
So, that could impact us adversely. What if the governor decides that because we now don't have this type of tourism tax, are we now going to have a state income tax? Is that what he's going to have to make a decision on then next year?
there are going to be measures that they're going to be taken that will not be favored by the general public, but
Mhm.
the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and for us to move on, tough decisions are going to have to be made by our leaders.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the economical impact is the needs of the many.
Yes.
If that's your analysis, right?
Yeah.
More people are economically impacted than would be impacted from COVID.
Correct.
So, I just, where are we going to balance it? So I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm hoping that people much smarter than I can make these decisions and do well by us, you know?
And hopefully they keep our best interests at heart or in mind when they make those decisions.
Yeah, yeah, we can only hope.
We can only hope. You ready for a couple of questions, Aaron?
Let's get to it.
All right. The first one, as you can see on the screen, husband left about 18 months ago. Still pays rent, but he filed for divorce at the end of March. We have three kids, and my son left because he hates doing chores. can he legally just take him away?
No, that's
Why
all.
is
No, that's your answer. Because when parties are married, you guys have equal custody rights. So Florida again doesn't do the concept of custody. They have this different concept of shared parental responsibility, meaning both parents are responsible for the minor children, and you both have rights to having your children. So no, we can't take them away, and your son leaving,
Oop.
right? You have a right to dislike your parents as well.
Hmm.
That's your children's right to dislike you because
And
you make them do things
I
like
feel bad
chores.
that this kid doesn't realize that he has to do his chores. I mean, you do what you're told. I'm sorry.
I agree. I agree. So that's, a co-parenting issue. And sometimes parents will strategize and use this as an opportunistic time to be what, some people could call like the Disney dad, meaning that they do all the fun things. You can eat um, chocolate chip cookie dough for breakfast, and you don't have to eat your vegetables, and you have no chores, and here's all these toys and ice cream every day. They become the fun parent, and they think that wins them custody because then the kids will say that they want to go with that parent. It's really not how it works in Florida.
We're having a connection issue right there.
Again, it's along the same lines of it's along the same lines of if your children were to say something like, hey, I really love that game Frogger, Mom, so I think I should go play in traffic. I'm pretty sure you would go, yeah, that's a no, okay? And you wouldn't even really entertain that much more.
Yeah,
But
crazy thought right there.
exactly. But all of a sudden, when they say they don't want to do chores or they say they don't want to go see their mom, you're then like, well, you are an authority on what's best for you.
Exactly.
No, but don't let the fact that maybe you and your significant other are fighting or having a disagreement have you lose sight of what's best for them, which is having both of their parents.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you for your question. Let me get that one out of the way. And the next one, you want to go and read that one?
Sure. Can I give up my rights to my children that live with their mother in the state of Florida? Can't find a form to do so. On exclusively those facts alone, no.
Sounds like he's trying to run away from his kids.
Yeah, and again, the reason that Florida law doesn't support children just being parentless. So if the children have someone to step in as a parent to be adopted, then you could have consent to the adoption and terminate your parental rights like that. But you can't just say, I don't think I really want these ones. They're duds. They're not like fish that aren't big enough that you throw them back.
It's like, this one smells funny.
Yeah, this one is a weird shape. I don't think I'll like it. So I'll just toss this back. I'll try again later. So no, you really can't do that. It isn't exactly that simple. But if you never established paternity in the first place, you didn't have any rights to begin with.
There you go. Clear and simple. Thank you so much for that question. Let me get that one out of the way. And, okay. Hello. I am 15, living in Orlando. My parents are not together. I live with my mom and my dad lives in Miami. Can my mom still force me to stay with her? What are my rights?
Yep. She's your mom.
So as a minor in this situation, the child would not have any rights or any say.
No, unless there's, abuse, neglect, like call DCF, tell a counselor at school, make sure that you tell somebody in authority that there's abuse. You didn't mention abuse. That doesn't mean it's not there, but I can only assume what I'm presented with.
Mm-hmm.
So the bottom line answer is, again, you have the right to not like your parents. So make do. You don't have that much longer. do your best to just kind of fly under the radar if there's not abuse, and prepare yourself to have a good job, to continue with your education, and place yourself in a position that on midnight of your 18th birthday, you hit the ground running, right? You go sign that lease on that apartment that you've been looking at. You save up your money so you have a decent car. Again, you make sure that you situate yourself in a position where at 18 you are prepared to be an adult. Maybe start doing some research on what it takes to be an adult, what kind of things you need to start paying bills, like look at what's required in a lease, and electricity and all of that. Adulthood isn't as fun as it seems. It's kind of a trick, right? You try so hard to get there, and once you're there, you're like, ooh, I was fooled.
How old were you when you left the nest?
I moved out when I was 18. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't regret it. My mom, I have a great mom. She's fantastic. But she raised me to be very independent. So I had a decent enough job. I moved in with a boyfriend, and, I was able to, we paid our bills, paid our rent, and we shared in the expenses that way. But yeah, I was 18. I still had a good relationship. I moved down the street. I was in the same town.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I left the state.
Yeah. That's why I left the state, right? I'm from Massachusetts, so I feel you. Oh, I left the state when I was what made you leave the state?
I got accepted to Westwood in Colorado, and I was like, and I had options of staying nearby, but I wanted a big change. So I turned 18. I started saving my money, and once I graduated high school, I think I had like maybe I took a month off, just 1 month for myself, and then I left. But then I remember friends taking the year off before going to college, and a couple of those friends are still on that same year.
Yeah. That gap year lasted 10.
Oh yeah, no. For some of them, it lasted too long, and now they have a couple of kids and a couple of cases right behind them. But let's go to the next question I have right here. Ooh, you want to read that one?
Yeah. Does the husband have the right to tell his wife to delete her social media accounts? You have the right to say whatever you want. Your freedom of speech is protected. However, you are not free from the consequences of your speech. So, do you have the right to tell your wife to delete her social media account? Yeah. You have the right to tell your wife that elephants are pink. Doesn't mean it means anything. And you absolutely have the right to tell her you don't like it. But I don't think you have any right to force her to do it. So you can say anything you'd like, but I don't think you have the right to force her to do it. Now, if you are in a healthy adult situation, again, this is not divorce questions, but you need a divorce and perhaps have your wife call me. But you really should be having adult conversations, right? Not delete your social media. If you have concerns over fidelity, that's one reason I think you might want that. Y'all need to be having a different conversation, because social media isn't her problem.
I mean, social media does tend to cause problems in a relationship.
It does. People who use it the wrong way causes problems in relationships.
I want to dive in a little bit on that one.
Yeah, I mean, but that's just like saying, we shouldn't have knives in your kitchen because knives cause stabbings.
Then I feel like the argument could be raised, well, a knife is a tool.
Social media is a tool to be social.
No, I've been in a situation before where I've liked someone's post, and my significant other saw that I liked someone's post, and then that caused drama.
Don't be liking hoes posts.
It was a nice picture.
That, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, what that is that's insecurity on the part of your significant other.
Mm-hmm.
Again, now, am I saying that the conversation she should have had with you isn't, hey, listen, I feel as though you are giving other random internet women attention that perhaps I would like, right? That's the conversation that should have been had. Not social media is the problem. It's how it's used and how she's feeling, right? The problem isn't even social media. The problem isn't that you liked it. It's the problem that she feels some type of way about your relationship. So what she's really saying to you, without having the ability or capability or desire to say it, is that she doesn't feel secure in her relationship with you. And, you know, again, this is the hero you need, not the hero you want. That perhaps you're not doing your part as a significant other to make her feel desired by you enough. Felt like she was very satisfied with the amount of attention, affection, and closeness that she has, and intimacy that she has with you. The fact that you double tapped on Instagram wouldn't be a problem.
So yeah, you're right.
And it's okay, you're imperfect. And what she needs for a level of attention to feel that kind of intimacy and closeness with you in a relationship is different. And you don't have the capability of predicting it. You don't have the capability of knowing exactly what that is unless she tells you. So again, this is a bilateral conversation. This conversation is that you should tell your man what you want, right? Don't start a fight.
Thank you.
Start a fight that he liked, the Insta hoe, and that's what bothers you. That's really not what's bothering you. It's that you feel some other type of insecurity within your relationship. But when she tells you those things, it goes both ways. You have to be receptive to it. If she says, I don't feel like you give me enough attention, I don't feel this, I don't feel that, I don't feel like the intimacy, and I want to work on that, you don't then have the right to tell her she doesn't feel that way, right? That is her feeling. That's how she feels. But you have a right to talk about it, explain it, and say, hey, what could I do better? If that's something you can do better, do it. If you need to say, hey, how do we meet in the middle in some way, right? How do we figure that out? I'm not saying that everybody's expectations of attention are going to be reasonable, but if you tell her that, like, it really wasn't that big of a deal, and that it isn't meaningful, this isn't someone I know in real life, close your laptop, put your phone down, and maybe like face to face have that conversation. So can you tell your wife to delete social media? Yeah. Will she?
Probably not.
I wouldn't. Right? What's your take on that? Did I call you out? Did I expose you?
I feel like I just had like a mini therapy session on that one, but I do appreciate your TED Talk right there.
Today I'm Dr. Phil. I don't
know. Let me get rid of this one, and the next one. Here we go. I've been with my wife for almost a year. I
got called out some type of way.
I recently found out she runs an adult video page. I do not approve and cannot be with someone like that. Is that enough to file for divorce?
You do not need a reason to file for divorce, just that your marriage is irretrievably broken. So you could want to divorce her because she dyed her hair red and you don't like redheads.
Really?
You can be as petty as you want for the reason why you want to leave someone and break up with them in your relationship.
Wow. So just because, like,
and you don't have to assert those grounds. You don't have to, put in your petition, like, my wife started an adult, fans only page.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's you just have to say that your marriage is irretrievably broken. It's not the 1500s anymore. You don't need to make sure that your husband will give you a divorce. You just assert your desire to have a divorce. And also, if the other party doesn't want a divorce, there's a way that they can delay it, but it won't be denied. You can move forward with a divorce even if they go to their final hearing and go, I don't want a divorce. The judge is going to go, ooh, that's nice, but they do.
And have you actually experienced an opposing party not like wanting to move forward with the divorce?
Yeah, I've had a hearing. I've had, it's only happened twice. One where the husband was like, well, at the final hearing, the husband was like, well, I don't really know if we can't, fix this.
Hmm.
And it was in front of Judge Bleckman, and he asked the question to the wife, and his response was great. He looked at him and he went, well, your wife does want a divorce, and I don't think at this time you can salvage this. We came pretty far at this time, and she's getting the divorce. He just told him outright. I was like, thank you.
Wow, he was savage on that one.
Didn't cause. I was really just grateful that it didn't cause, a delay or put my client in a position where she had to stay with him. You
Mhm.
know, you don't always know why a person wants a divorce. And I really feel like the judge in that instance respected the fact that, like, maybe she feels, maybe there's some type of abuse, financial, emotional, whatever. That's why they're like, you don't have to tell us about that. Don't drag people through the mud. Don't put that in the public. It doesn't matter. Here's your divorce. Move on.
Moving on. All right, the next one. My baby daddy was ordered to pay child support over a year ago through DOR. He gets paid under the table and brings me cash each month. Can I go after him through DOR since there's no record of him paying?
Well, I don't know if you know this, ma'am, but you are not the DOR. The Department of Revenue represents the interests of the state of Florida on your behalf. They're using you as the vehicle to represent the interests of the state of Florida in ensuring that the children of its state are provided for, because it is the right of your child to receive support, which is a very broad basis for why you can get child support, how and why you can get cash assistance, etc. So with that in mind, it really is up to the Department of Revenue, your local branch office, and how they want to handle that. However, if you have a paternity action and you bring that order over into the civil case, you can then at that point file to get a superseding order, even if you establish the same amount of child support. Ask that superseding order be ratified in the court, and then hold them in contempt that way. But once you move it over into the circuit court, you lose whatever the Department of Revenue can do for you. But if you move it into the circuit court, right, out of DOR into
Mhm.
circuit court, you can have a private attorney seek out remedies on your behalf. Again, it's 6 in one, half a dozen in the other, right? You'll have to initially pay the attorney's fees for an attorney to do that. They are recoverable, but typically you have to pay them up front, and then you would get reimbursed if they succeed on the attorney's fees claim. However, the DOR does act on your behalf without cost to you. So you have to make a decision on how you want to handle that. Also, you could represent yourself in that type of a cause of action. In
Now, with
moving.
with him, well, let's say for example, she was receiving the payments, via cash. What grounds does he have to say like, oh no, I paid her, I paid her each month?
He would have to show receipts of it.
So without the receipts, he's basically screwed.
Yes.
Oh man,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
gentlemen, save your receipts when you pay
Save
child
your
support.
receipts. Do it via Zelle or Cash App or
Yeah,
whatever your digital payment thing is, and make sure you know that it went to her. Take your screenshot. Save your screenshot somewhere that you can handle that.
oh no, and we have tons of clients that do that. They do send us the screenshots of conversations that they have with baby daddy or baby mama, and it does come in handy.
It does. I've succeeded a lot of times in fixing the fact that they want to file a motion for contempt on child support.
All right, next one coming up. Oh, I think you froze.
My back.
Yeah, you're back.
We've done that a number of times where we've adjusted the amount that's owed and achieved credit for back support or to show that he really wasn't in non-payment.
Okay. Wow, thank you so much for that question. The next one coming up is, if DCF files a petition for an emergency removal of emergency removal, and the statements that they've obtained and are using as evidence in the petition can be proven to be false, what can I do?
Prove them.
There are a lot of times where things do get said and not properly written down, and working the criminal cases I've worked in the past, that's been a lot of times it's been something that's been brought up to the attorney, and things have to be made. Decisions have to be made at that point. How?
Well, as you have personally seen me do in the cases that we work together, a lot of times what we do is we'll have our client, put together. They assist us in their case, right? You have to participate in your case. You have to participate actively. You're going to have work to do because you own all the facts. You have them all. You live them. I don't get to make your facts. You have them. So once you put those facts together in a way, and I can summarize and compare them, I typically, I very, very often, I can succeed on cases by the other party's statements alone. So it happened today. It happened in the DCF cases that I have. It's happened in just a number of instances where I only have the other party testify, or I call no witnesses. I only defend, right? I only do cross-examination on their case. And then I tell the judge, they didn't prove their case. I'd like a ruling. I'm asking the court to make a determination as to what they just presented. And I'm presenting to you that this is what the case law is as to why they cannot have the relief they've requested, because their false statements don't add up, or they don't equal what the law requires for this to occur.
They can't meet their burden.
They can't meet their burden. So you'd be surprised at how often that happens. Now, am I telling you that the ability to get from, when something's filed against you to me standing there going, you didn't meet your burden, is inexpensive? No, it's a lot of hard work. You're going to work at it. We're going to get it right. But, making sure that you participate and do the right things in preparing for this is how we protect and assert your rights on what happens. And the difference between, what you having an attorney or the right attorney is and not having a right attorney. Sometimes when we're watching the people on the other side of the bench, we're like, my clients are like, thank God I had you, because I don't, you just got to sometimes identify these discrepancies. And I'm like, this doesn't add up. I don't know how this really could meet to the level. And it does. It happens in criminal. I don't do that much criminal. I do just a little bit, and it's for very select clients who, I have a prior relationship with. But in a little bit of criminal that I have done, I present the evidence to the state, and I'm like, I don't know. This is all the evidence. I don't know how you're in a position where you think you could meet your burden. Like, what? You want to tell me what your position is? Because they have to identify their position. I'm like, go ahead and let me know.
And then I know they're with negotiating or talking with the state attorney's office, you do have to be tough with them.
I know. And, I have no problem with that.
Thank you so much for the question. The next one, I'm going to let you read this one.
My attorney isn't responding to me in a timely manner. Can I email the judge myself? No. Have your attorney withdraw, and then you can speak to the judge yourself. But I will let you know that you actually can't email the judge, because you would be emailing the judicial assistant, and you can't talk to the judge by yourself. You actually have to include the other party on all correspondence. So at no time can you yourself, by yourself alone, speak to the judge. It's
only with opposing party.
Okay. Sorry.
You're fine.
There's a very limited circumstance, very limited circumstance, almost not worth bringing up. It's so limited where you can have ex parte communication, but it is so rare. And what happens is you have this ex parte communication. It's related to emergency safety type procedure, and at that time, once you have that communication, a judge makes a decision and then discloses the communication, right? So it's never kept private what you tell the judge ever. And after making a decision on if that was a true emergency that needed immediate, attention, or if it doesn't and you need to have a hearing to get the relief you want. So
Got it.
no, how about don't set a hearing to have the judge actually do anything that's, going to move your case in any direction.
Thank you for the question. Do not contact the judge yourself.
Yeah.
All right, the next one. I'm getting married in the fall, but I'm worried about our dog. 4 months into the relationship, we moved in and got a dog together. Can a prenup help me keep the dog if we split up? Oh,
So if you're not married and you got the dog, it's non-marital, so you don't need a prenup. You can keep your dog.
so she can just basically just keep the dog at that point.
Yeah, it's your dog.
Boom, there you go. Quick and easy on that one. Love
Make sure
it.
your name is on like the paperwork.
What if his name is on the paperwork? Would she be screwed at that point?
Yeah, it's his dog.
Oh, okay. So basically, if whoever is on the rabies shots or the medical visits, things like that, that's the owner of the dog.
I've never parties are you I advise them that parties don't usually fight over dogs. I know you think they might, but they don't as much as you think, because in court pets are considered by their fair market value, so they're property.
Oh,
I know. Remember when what did we talk about, the pigs?
yes, the pigs and
The farm animals. Property. It's their fair market value, what you could sell them for, I don't know, on Craigslist.
Oh man.
I don't think grown dogs are worth anything. You got to pay people to take them.
So little Muffin might have a price tag on her collar.
Or a negative, right there.
All right, the next question I have right here. Husband and I are going through a divorce. He recently uploaded videos of us to Pornhub, and I just found out he's been monetizing off of them. I'm not mad, but how can I get my cut of the money?
You could bring that up in court. Absolutely. That's marital. Marital efforts went into creating those, and you deserve your cut. Also, I think you may have, and again, this is not my area of law, but it's worth mentioning some like intellectual property on it. Because it's your performance and your likeness. You own that, right? You own your face and your disposition and who you are. So you should speak to an intellectual property attorney, because you can sue that way, because again, it's you, and that's there would be value in that, especially it matters on how much money he's making. And then also, I think during your divorce, through the process of the divorce, I think you really could claim that income is marital.
I mean, they're both taking part, right?
Right. I mean, he may have a reasonable claim for a little bit more of the money because he's doing the work, putting it on there and researching and maybe negotiating what he can get for it or anything like that. But, it might be worth, it's definitely worth bringing up, especially if it's a substantial amount of money. If anybody knows, y'all could tell me, how much do you make off of a Pornhub video? Is that a thing? Do you make money off of a Pornhub video?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I think it's kind of like YouTube, where if you get a certain amount of views, the companies are able to advertise with their videos, and boom, right there, you're able to monetize off that.
So yeah, I guess that's very interesting. I like it. I like it.
Thank you so much for that question. Let me get this one out of the way. And we got 3 more questions on this one. Next one is, can a father who lives in Alabama pick up his child in Florida and keep them against court order?
Did you just ask if you cannot follow a court order?
I think that's what the guy from Alabama is asking.
I wish they were in front of me and I could do this. Did you just ask if you can not follow a court order? Like, what do you think the point of a court order is?
I think that right there would be a rhetorical question, wouldn't you think?
No, answer. I want them to answer. If you can come up in the comments, please answer. Um, it, I, I feel as though if you achieved a court order that was beneficial to you, or that you valued, or that was what you thought was right, that your expectation would be that it had and they are enforceable by contempt, at least in the state of Florida.
Mhm.
So if you want to do that, also, can a father who lives in Alabama pick up his child in Florida and keep them against court order? No, but if they do that, you are also kidnapping, because the court order says you can't have them. So, you know, you have contempt, you'll have attorney's fees, there are other sanctions, potential arrests and jail time.
Yeah, so basically the question itself, no, you can't.
No.
You're breaking the law on many, many levels right there.
Right, that's a real dangerous thing. What you want is more time or something like that.
Hmm.
Call a lawyer, dad in Alabama, call a lawyer to figure out what the vehicle is for you to get more time. Or maybe you need to grease the wheels of the mother of your child and see if you can get more time. Find a way to negotiate with her. Additionally, if you are the mom who this happened to, call me immediately so that we can get some court orders and some emergency action and get you the ability to get your child back, or you know, whatever it is that would be the best resource for you to, you know, get your child back, of course.
So in that sense, he would be in trouble in both criminal and civil court, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he could be. Yeah, I mean, the obviously the state attorney chooses, always makes the decision if they prosecute,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Not not the person, right? So I can't be like, I want him to go to jail, right? So we can't really do that. But you can hold them in contempt, and you could have some civil infractions or criminal. There is criminal contempt, but that's a bit different. But some civil infractions, such as, you know, paying your attorney's fees, other sanctions, and you know, you getting makeup time sharing, you know, other things that have need to balance this back out. But don't just go get your kid because you're kidnapping.
Yeah, now do not break the law in that sense. Next one is, can I refuse to give my son back to his mother if her current boyfriend is around? We do not have a court agreement between us on who gets a child or anything of that nature.
No.
So he can't refuse to give his son back.
No.
No.
No, you guys, you actually, if you have no court agreement and you were not married, you have no rights, sir.
What do you mean?
When a mother and father are unmarried and their relationship results in a child, the mother is the child's only legal guardian.
So without paternity being established, the father wouldn't have any rights.
Right. Now,
Wow.
it sounds to me like you're pretty fortunate, Dad, that she is flexible and willing, and she's really trying to act in her child's best interest to give time sharing and work that out with you. But without a court order, you don't get time sharing.
Mm.
So if you want to refuse to give the child back, she can call the cops and she can say, he won't give me my child back. They'll show up at your door and the child goes with her. You also, when you act like that, first of all, are an asshole. And you know, your child is harmed because they need both of their parents, unless one parent is a detriment. and in that case, DCF should be involved. And you create this conflict that your child is nearly never shielded from. They almost always know that there's some kind of conflict with their parents, even if you don't say it outright. They have a very negative effect. So you need to do everything in your power to reduce or eliminate that conflict. And even more, you need to try harder, right? So things even outside of your power, I don't know if that's right, but to make sure that they're shielded from it. But so at that time, like maybe try to work something out. Or what if, you know, the current boyfriend, if what you're trying to say is abusive, you need to call DCF. No, you don't really get to invite yourself to self-help. So, you know, again, don't be an asshole. And no, you can't withhold your child. Do a better job at being a co-parent, because she seems like she's trying, at least from my limited facts. No, you can't.
No, sorry, bro. Let's get that one out of the way. And then we are coming up on our last one today. Today went, wow, we're almost at the 50-minute mark. We went pretty quick today. I love it.
No.
All right, the last one is, I've been paying alimony for almost 16 years. My income has been fluctuating for the past 8 years. Can I go back to modify so it reflects on what I've been making now?
Yeah, if it's like, if your income is substantially lower, yes, you can modify alimony. You know, again, we're going to have to go back, and I want to see your final judgment before I give you this answer in its entirety. It's going to depend on what that final judgment in your final order says. Is your alimony, is it permanent, temporary? It depends on what type of alimony you have. So it's worth taking a look at your final judgment and seeing what it is, and if it's modifiable.
So there are a lot of factors in that for it to.
Oh yeah, alimony's a big one.
Ooh, I don't ever want to deal with that personally. Never.
Get a prenup. Get a prenup.
So, all right. So that ends our the questions for today. We got a couple interesting ones today.
Yeah.
The videos being uploaded, that one really stood out to me. I mean,
yeah.
And the fact that he's making money off of it. I mean, you know.
Well, what stood out to me in that case was she doesn't mind. She's like, no problem. I just want the money. I gotta put it in my laptop.
You're good. And we froze. We'll stand by.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm stretching out too.
Hold on. Yeah.
Well, you're good. You're good.
Sorry. I have to plug in my laptop. This thing's always. All right. So yeah, I appreciate that her position was that she just wants the money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, because uploading porn that you had sent to a significant other without your consent is what they call revenge porn. And that's illegal. That's a big crime. So, her saying like she doesn't mind, she just wants a cut. I found that pretty fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, they have to have a pretty big following for him to be able to be monetizing off of that.
I want to hear from somebody who has monetized off of a porn website, whatever porn website that is. What's the new one? The fans only.
The OnlyFans.
OnlyFans. Okay.
Yeah. I'll dive a little bit on this one because, and this is something that I've talked on in other shows.
Oh, you don't have a fans only?
No comment.
Your fans only handle in the comments. I don't know.
No, this is something that I noticed and I talked about on other shows where I've seen an increase on the number of OnlyFans pages, and a lot of my friends who were working in the restaurant industry, food service industry, things of that got let go, started to get those pages up and running, and a friend of mine who has been without work for the past month raked in a little bit over $2,700 in her first month just by
Mhm.
doing her. And I say that on many levels.
Right. Yeah, I get it. I got you. Solo time.
Yeah.
Um, my husband just came like running down the stairs because he heard me say,
OnlyFans.
"Oh yeah, OnlyFans." Uh, he heard it, and he wanted to know what I'm talking about. He's like, "Hey, wait, that doesn't sound like it's legal related. So, what are you doing?" Um, so no, I don't. I don't. It's still the Q&A. Um, yeah. Research. This is for a case. This is
Yeah,
important.
yeah. I'll definitely have to research that topic
Legit.
for another show. But I mean, yeah, you're nowadays with the internet, you're able to make money off of almost anything. And I'm sorry for kind of like leading off the tracks on this one, but yeah, I know a girl on YouTube, not personally, but that all she does is eat. She just eats food on YouTube.
Oh, there was one of those that was on like my 600-pound life.
I think so.
There
Yeah.
was a sisters who did that. Like that.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah. I saw that episode recently. It's too much time in quarantine.
And they're able to make money off of really not even doing anything major, but just putting food in their bodies.
Do you see what Alexis, Alex?
Yeah, I saw. Wait, hold on.
Speaking of which, Alex is amazing. She works in our office, and she really has been like knocking it out of the park with a lot of the assignments I've been giving her. I see her that she'd been working hard and doing her thing. So if she says she'll do it, she'll get it done.
I want to review your numbers after that, Alex.
Yeah. Yeah. I really would love to hear from somebody who has an OnlyFans page
I
or
can get you that person.
uses PH to make money, and how does it work? Do you pay taxes on it? What, because I'm, no judgment. I people are empowered to live their lives exactly the way they want to live it, as long as it's legal, it doesn't hurt anybody, and you do it for the right reasons, and it's what you want and how you want to live your life. I'm about it. I support that.
Oh no, like I said, I've said on other shows, like I know a lot of professional people who are do this as a side hustle, and they're able to monetize greatly by not even putting in that much effort.
Yeah, that's wild. I wonder a lot about, um, like, does that harm their professional reputation? Has anyone ever found out? Have you ever had to deal with that? Are you fearful that you find out? Do you try to protect your identity? Or are you like, hey, my personal life's my personal life? I have a lot of questions.
I'll get you that contact information after the show. But as we close out, Erin, is there anything else you want to anything you want to say before we end the show?
No, I don't think so. Um, what is there anything that I'm missing? You had something?
Yes, I do remember something that I brought up to you just a little bit before we started the show today about a local hero here in Orlando. He's an EMT by the name of Julio, and if you go to our Facebook page, you can actually learn more about it. I heard his interview this morning on Real Radio 104.1. He had gone off to New York to transport patients who have been positive, who tested positive with COVID-19, and he was up there for a month, basically the front line of dealing with all these individuals, all these victims, and unfortunately, he did have to deal with people who had passed away from the illness, from the virus, I should say. And he comes home and is served with eviction papers because he did not comply with HOA standards. Now, the story itself, like I don't want to misquote or misinterpret anything. We put a link to the interview this afternoon on our Facebook page. Give it a quick listen. Honestly, it brought me to tears to imagine someone like that who's basically given their all to people who are in need, and then comes back home and now has, less than a month to
Yeah.
leave his home. It's very
Yeah,
upsetting.
HOAs can be, persnickety. And the thing that's difficult about HOAs is before you buy your house, when you're making that purchasing decision, you don't really have a great way to know if like what you're getting into, right?
Mhm.
How strict your HOA is, or how, narrow they're going to construe rules. You can see your HOA, regulations. You'll be able to review that before you buy a house, but you don't know who's on the board and if they're people who are reasonable. I have an HOA, and my HOA is overall really reasonable. They have things like they want your mailbox painted, which is whatever. They don't want that looking horrible, but further than that, they just don't have super strict, you're not getting these letters over petty shit all the time.
Yeah. No, at a previous firm, I dealt with a lot of HOA suits, and a lot of them, majority of them, just sounded insane. And that, I mean, that, of course, that's just my opinion. I'll save that for another time. But
Mhm.
yeah,
You
just
don't like HOAs? Lots of people don't like HOAs, right?
yeah, no, there were plenty of cases where it sounded like their claims were just they weren't just, and these families had to deal with the burden of having to bring their house up to code, and some of them having to leave their home because they couldn't afford the changes that the HOA was requesting of them.
Yeah, it's crazy. It can be really crazy.
But
My HOA is not high there. I like my HOA, for now.
for now. But yeah, check out our Facebook page. We put it right there. Help for Julio. But as always, the information provided on this live Q&A does not and is not intended to constitute legal advice. Instead, all information, content, and materials available in this live Q&A are for general informational purposes only. Information on this live Q&A may not constitute the most up-to-date legal or other information. Viewers of this live Q&A should contact an attorney to obtain advice with respect to any particular legal issue. No listener, user, or browser of this site should act or refrain from acting on the basis of information on this live Q&A without first seeking legal advice from counsel in a relevant jurisdiction. Only an individual attorney can provide assurances that the information contained herein and your interpretation of it is applicable or appropriate to your particular situation. Use of or access to this live Q&A or any links or resources contained within the site does not create an attorney-client relationship between the listener, user, or browser and website authors, contributors, contributing law firms, committee members, and their respective employers. The views expressed at or through the live Q&A are those of the individual inquirer and their individual capacities only, and the law office of Erin Morse. All liability with respect to action taken or not taken based on the contents of this live Q&A are hereby expressly disclaimed. The content of this posting is provided as is. No representations are made that the content is error-free. Thank you so much for listening. Erin, thank
Yeah.
you so much for providing us your knowledge,
I'm,
your time.
yeah.
And if you would like to set up a consultation with Attorney Morris, the number right there, 407-900-7451, or check out our website at www.morris-firm.com to schedule a consultation today. Should we tell them we'll see them next week?
Yeah, I think I'll come into the office because I look like I have like a blue tint.
Yeah, and
Is that my perception, or?
no, you do look like they you do a little bit you do look a little bit blue da ba dia da. And now you froze. And that was
Yeah,
the
like
worst.
it looks like I
Oh,
look like I have like a actual filter on, right?
yeah, it
I
doesn't.
look like I'm an Instagram filter.
Hmm. You look a little. Oh my god, I
It's
wish I could
not.
remember the names. Yeah, I could remember the names of the filters, but I can't at the moment. But thank you so
I
much for
I don't
listening.
know. I don't know any of them. I don't know them. You could have said literally anything, and I'd have been like, yeah,
I know one of them is Rio. Oh my god, what's that city in Brazil? Rio something.
Rio de Janeiro.
Rio de Janeiro. Yeah, that's actually a filter on Instagram.
Yeah, you could have said anything, and I would have been like, exactly. Yeah.
But all right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you guys next week, and be safe.